sometimes we get so caught up in the emotion of what's being said, we lose sight of what is actually being communicated.
What's up, peoples? It's your bartenders, Mr. Z.
And your boy Omega.
Start sipping as we unfold the triple layered conversation of what you say versus how you say it, and speaking positivity into self as well as others. As every episode, we want to thank all of you for listening. We truly appreciate you listening to our hearts and minds on varied and difficult topics.
Special thank you goes out to our Patreon subscribers for their support of the show. Every little bit helps us reach our goals to invite more high-profile guests and create bonus content.
And if you want to join in our conversation outside of this cast, feel free to hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at Have a Drink Cast, and make sure to use that hashtag HADcast.
Remember, this is always a conversation. If you don't agree, you want to voice your opinions, or even suggest a topic for an episode, feel free to join our Discord as well. The link will be in the description.
And please, if you like what we're doing here, share us with your friends, your family, your neighbors. Hey, even rent out a billboard and plaster our faces everywhere. Your referrals mean a lot to us, as that's how we gain more listeners. So,
Thank you again.
and get prepared to sit
Think.
and have a drink.
Welcome to Have a Drink podcast. Enjoy the episode.
We said, peace.
Peace.
What's up, peoples, and welcome back to another episode of the Have a Drink podcast, where we invite you to sit, think, and have a drink. We're your bartenders, Mr. Z.
And I'm your boy Omega.
Thank you for joining us. Today's topic actually comes from a conversation that we were having within our Discord.
What you say versus how you say it, and how to speak positivity in your life. So that's what we're going to be talking about this evening. And this, like Z had mentioned before, he actually brought this up in our Discord. And we got some pretty good responses. Why not elaborate more on this? Because I actually experienced something about this past week while I was in Mexico with my family. Yeah, it's not always what you say, it's how you say it, to me.
I love that. Like I I love the fluidity of the conversation that came about of it, because I was editing the most recent episode of the podcast, and it just kind of it came to me, and I really wanted to know, like what is more important to you, what you say or how you say it. Because a lot of times, we're stuck in situations where we're like, I'm just giving you facts. I don't know why you're so upset at me. Some people are like overwhelmed with that kind of like, wait, I thought I was just, just sharing information. I don't know why you're so upset with me. Um, but like, just even taking that second and adjusting how it's delivered, of like how it could just mean the world of difference. Like, I hear things in the news all the time. Everybody, you read the headlines, you hear the news in the background, and they make it the most triggering thing for you to want to find out more, you know um but then when you really get into the story, it's something really benign, and it was literally just for the purpose of garnering attention. It really got me thinking about what is important to me when people are saying something, and what is important to me when I'm listening to people, when I'm listening to information being, given to me. Personally, it's how you say it, because if you're saying it for fear, it's more impactful, just as much as it is if you're saying it for you know to incite good feelings.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because the way I think about it and actually paid more attention to it was in regards to communicating with children. Because it's not always what you say, but it's more or less how you say it and how you explain it and break it down for them that will determine how it's accepted and received. You know, and I think about like how like my mom would talk, right? And my mom could say one thing, could say something to me, and I get it. or she could yell at me because she's frustrated, angry, or whatever. And I hear it, I hear the same thing, but the message doesn't stick because it's like I'm listening out of fear, or I'm listening out of just tell her whatever she needs to hear so you don't get in trouble. As opposed to being like, all right, I get where you're coming from, mom. I'm sorry. You know, and even now, like as an adult or as a leader, as a teacher, as an educator, as a person of influence, I have to be very mindful the way I speak to people. You can't speak recklessly. And like when speaking to children, even like, I want them to understand that I'm coming from a positive place, a place that's going to be there for them to help them in the long run. Um, I want to make sure that the kids understand what I'm saying, the information that's being conveyed to them is to help them. So I just want to make sure that I get to a certain level. Now, when I say level, is it not talk down to them or talk to them like they're a baby, but more so like eye level. And when I communicate from eye level, not from a overbearing standing over them position, right? Because then they can hear the words that I'm saying, but it's going to sound more authoritative. So I want to get down to them and just make sure that they understand and they get where I'm coming from when I speak to them. Make sure that, they're not in a corner or against the wall, but I want to make sure they feel comfortable when they're listening to me and when they're speaking to me. That's why I say how you say it matters. Because I could tell them they didn't pass their test. I could be standing over them, really overbearing, like, man, you totally failed. You did not pass this test at all. I'm not being mean. I'm just telling you, you failed and you didn't pass this test. Well, how's that person gonna take that information? If I get to their level and I'm like, hey, well, I just gotta tell you, we didn't do so well on this test, but you know what? Let's figure out some strategies so you can do better next time. Same information, different approach.
That's actually really interesting. That you come from the perspective of communicating with children. As I scroll through the conversation that we had in Discord, it was interesting to see where everyone pulled from. We had one individual in there talk about print. It could be based on context or of the conversation. You know, um, and then it got me thinking about text messages, Facebook messages. You can't really sense the tone of the conversation or what the person's saying unless you add emojis, you know. uh but yeah, it's interesting that we put special attention in special areas that matter. How a lot more people are relaxed when they're communicating through text, versus if they're trying to talk to someone about something emotional. I mean, but there are those people that will break up with you over a text message or an email.
Trash, trash. That person is trash. Well, no, let me rephrase that. That action is trash. Yes, I'm
Right.
looking at you with my daddy look.
Oh,
That was trash.
oh, for real though. Really, like, another response was, I think delivery is important because no matter the information being said, delivery can affect it. Like, if bad news will always suck, but depending on the delivery, it'll strengthen the blow or soften it. Good news is great, but a terrible delivery takes away the good feelings.
So beautifully spoken by our dear friend Richard.
Yep, our bar regular, he always dropping knowledge when we throw out those questions to each other. I mean, it's just a testament too to come back and check out our Discord and hop in to the conversation.
That must have been after his third glass of tea.
Absolutely.
It was so smooth.
and insightful. Really, honestly, because it just to see the dynamic answers that came from everyone. It it shows the weight, that it holds within context as well. You know,
Hmm.
not just how you say it, but context is everything.
Big time.
Anything taken out of context can seem pretty bad, but in the scope of it being like lines in a play, or a snippet of like, what do you think I'm gonna be like, blah 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 blah, and then they take that little part out and they're like, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, wait, I didn't say that, you took it out of context, I was quoting or mocking, damn it.
That's actually a very fair point. And then also let's dive into that, even though it's like a almost a tangent in a sense. This day and age, the technology is so advanced where even if you do have a video of you clearly quoting or saying something, people can flip it and make it sound like what it wasn't meant to be said or taken. And now finding out that there's even software where they can take our video and manipulate our mouths and our voice to say whatever they wanted to say. And people will be none the wiser.
You're talking about deep fakes, right?
Yeah. So that's the crazy thing, you know? So that's why it's important to even know that.
It makes me think about a saying that I always have. um I've said it most of my life. I probably heard it from my mom, like most principles that I live by. uh I've heard from her. um but one of the things being, words are magic. you know what you say is also important, not just how you say it. I think there's weight for that other side of the argument of like, what you say is just as powerful as how you say it, because if you're passively talking bad about yourself, and you kind of just give like, oh, I'm so dumb, like I forgot this, or oh, so stupid of me, like, oh, I'll never get this, oh, I'm not good enough, like just like in those moment feelings, thoughts, what have you. um those things can carry so much, those words can carry so much power in them. It can drive you forward. It actually it, it's actually why during one of our trips, you mentioned this our last episode, but I cut it out. We were talking about when we talked to the kids of the liaisons for our show, um when we were on tour. And when we were leaving them with lasting impressions, because we're kind of like, hanging out, talking, vibing, and everybody's really happy how the show went, and really giving that moment to, like, if you're going to say one thing, what are you going to say? And one of the things I said, or the thing I said was, you know always be careful of what you say. you know if you're ever in a situation, ask yourself, how can you get out of it? How can you solve this problem? Because if you say, I can't, I don't know, I won't, it's just telling your brain, the supercomputer that it is, that you already don't need to solve the problem, and so it won't. But if you give it that motivation of, how can I solve this problem, it will come back with an answer. Like, and it'll shock you in such ways, and it'll take the information that you're giving it, that you're feeding it, the words that you are feeding to it, and it will regurgitate that, and give you that processing, that feeling, that functionality for your nerves, your heart, your system, everything, the way you think, all of it. you know so if you're feeding it poison, all you're gonna feel is like you're being poisoned. you know if you're feeding it fruits and veggies and good things, you know, it'll feel happy, it'll feel revitalized, you know, you'll feel like you're actually moving in the direction that you want to.
Self-deprecating talk is too prevalent, and it's very great that you said that because I started to reflect on my own way I speak about myself. You know, and it's funny. It's like sometimes like my wife may say something, and she may start to self-deprecate. I'm like, don't talk about my wife like that. And she's like, what? I said, don't talk about my wife like that. My wife is amazing. My wife is beautiful. My wife is strong. My wife is highly intelligent. Don't you ever sit there and tell her that she can't do something. Don't ever say that she's dumb. Don't ever say that she, makes. I'm like, so what? Don't talk about my wife like that. And then one time she caught me slipping, and I said something. I was like, "Man, I'm such an idiot. Damn, I'm stupid." And she's like, "Don't talk about my husband like that." And she hit me with that. I was like, "Excuse me." I was like, "You know what? You're right." You know, she's like, "Don't talk about yourself like that. You'll figure it out. We'll get through this." Anytime I get really hard on myself or I start to like talk down about myself, she's the one that's right there with me. Don't talk like that. We'll get through this. It's never you can do it. It's we can do it. And that's why we're talking about not just how you say what you say, but how you say it, but also speaking positivity in your life. So that goes with the what you say. That goes into that. So while you were talking, I thought of the old saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me." And I was like, that's a great little rhyme, but it's a very very false and untrue statement. I would probably have to flip that and say, "Sticks and stones will break my bones, but your words, those will hurt me deeper."
May I?
Please.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words will cut me deeper.
There you go. And that's true. And that's it. And people have to understand that. Like, I still remember words that were told to me in high school that cut me so deep, and they changed my thought process to what I was going to do. I'll tell you a brief story, 5 seconds, longer than the last story that I said. um, Believe it or not, I was considered a triple threat in high school: singer, dancer, actor. I did a musical, and I was in, first of all, before that, I was, I did choir in high school. I did band in high school and middle school. I did dance. I did everything, and I tried everything. And so I did a musical, and I did pretty well from what I was told. I was told that I did really, really well. I had to get over some body imaging issues that I had because I had a lot of body hair, chest hair, grown man hair. But I got, a lot of love on that. But I was like, hey, man, I can do this. I can sing, I can dance, I can act, I can do this. I think I'm going to be a singer. I might be an artist. I can do this. I can do it all. Like, why not? I can be just like Usher. I can do this. Somebody very close to me in my household said, "You can't sing." Well, I took that kind of to heart. I was like, well, if they said I can't sing and they've known me my entire life, I guess I can't sing. So I stopped singing. Now, mind you, I was raised in the church singing, was never told anything different, was in choir, never told anything different, did a musical, wasn't told anything different, except the one person said that very thing. There went that. Never sang again. Didn't realize for a while that that really like derailed my thought process. I was even starting a singing group in high school. Yeah, we were practicing doing a cover of "Can You Stand the Rain" by we actually did the Boys to Men version, not the New Edition version, which means we really worked really hard on those harmonies. We sounded really good. I heard that one message, Stop doing it. So the things people say can and will hurt you. So I remembered that, and I've always remembered the feeling that it left with me. So therefore, I made a point to speak positivity into people. And as opposed to saying what they can't do or hearing people tell me what they can't do, I always tell them, don't tell me what you can't do. Show me what you can. Don't tell me what you won't do. Show me how you'll change it and make it work for you. You know, and that's why it's so important about how we say things and also what we say. So even though in a message, how you say it matters almost more than what you say, the words that you choose carry even more weight. So the delivery is important, but the content is what's important.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. That's I mean, you've shared that with me while we were on tour, I've known that story, and I love breaking you out of your shell and getting you to sing and have fun, and especially when we're like in the car, all three of us, hanging out in the car being silly and singing. Like
That was one of the coolest things ever, by the way.
it's so much fun. Like I yeah, I mean, I've thought about so many times where people have said something to me and like it completely derailed me from something, um I was reminiscing on that feeling as you were talking, and it brought me to that importance of how you say it, because someone we mutually know, whenever I try to converse with them, whenever they speak back to me or whenever they're listening, it feels as if they're uninterested. It feels like I'm not as like, and so I'm like, I wonder if it's how I'm saying it. I wonder if I'm speaking in a way that's roundabout. Should I be speaking with more specifics? Should I speak just very directly? you know um
When communicating with my wife, I'm trying to work better at being more expressive and be more thorough with what I'm trying to say. I absolutely hate, and you don't hear me say I hate anything. I hate this when you talk over me, when you don't let me finish what I'm trying to say and you decide to talk over me. It frustrates me so much so to where I cannot continue to talk. I have to stop speaking and just listen, or I'll just feel like I'm devalued. So you don't, what I have to say doesn't matter.
you want to feel heard, and you don't feel heard in that moment.
That, and also if you cut me off, how are you going to understand what I'm saying?
Didn't you ask me a question? Didn't you just ask me a question? Why are you already answering before I get to answer the question?
Oh God, you are killing me right now. That is so. I gotta write that down with the arms crossed too. Didn't you ask me a question? How are you gonna jump on my answer with your
For real.
answer?
For real. Like it's it's the feeling, man. Like it one of the things that we talk about on here frequently, amongst the many thousands of things that we say, um but when we talk about bridging that gap, when we talk about communication, because we talk about what you say versus how you say it, and then versus giving motive, and also giving positive affirmations to yourself in order to keep that motivation alive. But it's all about communication with others, communication with self, like the importance of that, and it being people, like what people want at the base of communication is to be heard and understood, you know and and to not just be talked at but talked with. If you're really engaging with someone, you will also feel heard, you know both people will feel heard in the conversation. They'll feel understood, because if someone's actually listening to the conversation, they're gonna ask questions, they're gonna probe, they're gonna want to get to know more about the idea, if it intrigues them. Obviously you can't force that, but at the same time, I mean, just a little effort goes a long way.
Big time.
So yeah, I mean, just thinking about that and surrounding, the giving self, motivation, the positive words, the positive self talk, you know,
Yeah,
how important that is.
very much so. Very much so. Um, you are a prime example of that, of positive self-talk. And then not only of you just saying positive things to yourself, but you showing it coming to fruition and patience. And you've heard me say this many times before, and I'm a firm believer in it, and I've said it many and many times, and I'm gonna say it again many more times. When your head can conceive it and your heart believe it, you can achieve it. And you, sir, are a walking example of that. And that's why I feel it's so important that we speak life, we speak positivity, we speak life into people, into ourselves, and into each other.
Thank
You
you, my
know,
brother.
Nah, most deaf. I mean, people can be like, "Oh man, they're just oh, here they go, trying to give each other props again, trying to give each other flowers again. Do you guys have enough flowers to create a field?" Well, yeah, and I don't care because I don't know. This may be the last conversation I have with my brother, and I want the last time he hears my voice is saying something uplifting. And that's what you should think about when you communicate with those around you. The last things you say should be uplifting,
Or of love.
of love. Yeah. Now, and I like how you jumped in and said of love, right? Because actually, as I was saying uplifting, I was thinking like, well, with me and my brothers or me and my best friends, like it's like we be roasting each other at times, making fun of each other and all this stuff, right? Now, yeah, like I talk about my brother 3D, we always talk about him and his lisp, right? But he knows deep down, he knows my heart. So if my last words on this earth were about him and his lisp, and making fun of that, I guarantee you that man would know that was with love, not out of malice. See, even if that was me just being silly and stupid, that was literally me being of love because that's our relationship. And he knows that I would never, ever, in this lifetime or the next, speak ill of him to tear him down. And that's the thing is we need to realize we need to stop speaking negatively to tear down, but speak positivity to lift up. Speak with love to lift. Lifting over various experiences. That's love.
Absolutely. It's important. It's important to speak with intention, because especially right now, it like tensions are high everywhere. You know, it's what we're speaking out into the world, what we're feeding. Man, I must have missed that day in class where everyone was like, "Hey, we're going to tap into the same feelings and emotions and follow these trends." You know? I
Mm-hmm.
must have missed that day cuz I never was like on that I never was on that train. I would never was in that, that flow of things. I always my mind was elsewhere. My mind was focused on other things. My attention was focused on, why are we not building relationships with people? Why are we not learning how to be better towards each other? you know like, why are we focusing on the same thing, year after year after year after year after year? you know um but with growing up in that space, I always felt like communication was the key. It was the key to everything. And it's what birthed my saying, you know, words are magic. It's why I speak with such intention. It's why I choose my words carefully, because the the defined understanding of certain words for me, you know, I look to, I look to use them accurately, but also be able to like get across a lot of different boundaries,
Hmm.
you know. And I mean boundaries of like boundaries in cultures, boundaries in demographics, you know, and really spread that kind of communication um out there, you know, because I felt like that's the key. That's usually the key to 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 cohesion. That's the key to understanding. That's the key to everything, is being able to communicate certain little side things. Certain cultures, the way they communicate is through their food, you know, because that's how they show who they are, how they feel, what they think. They give it in the respect of, you know, here's some food, enjoy this meal with me, you know, as you and I were doing before we started filming, you know. So we were sharing a meal together, even though we're not, you know, in the same space. We're able to come together in a moment that like you're at your most vulnerable, because you have to become vulnerable in order to feed yourself. And if that's not a metaphor for life, I don't know what is.
I've
Making
never thought about that. Never
making
thought.
yourself vulnerable in order to feed yourself.
I've never thought about that. You know, even on top of that, it's making yourself vulnerable to allow yourself to eat with somebody else, as well as allowing them to feed you. You don't know what they put in that food. You don't know if they can cook or not. You don't know if that's food made to your liking. That's scary. You really think about it. Now, that's crazy too. Tangent, going off on that tangent with you. Um, I've heard that some men in the South had to be careful with what they ate from women, from certain women, because they could put something in the food to hook them, as in to get them to fall in love with them or to do something, you know, almost like voodoo. But they would use the food, they would use it. So they would put something of them in their food and you would never know it because it's so masked by the flavors and the seasoning and everything.
Key to the
And then all
man's
of a sudden,
heart is through his stomach. That
you
saying.
caught it. You caught it.
Ooh,
See,
finish
so
that.
like check this out. Like I'm looking this up right now. So it says this person has heard anecdotal stories about women who have got their men because they baked them cookies or surprised them with a homemade cake there on their birthday when they least expected it. There are even some books marketed to neo-pagans on supposed kitchen magic that includes love spells to be used in cookery. So that right there says a lot.
The desire for communication is real. The desire for connection is real. You know, um, back to the top, the top topic.
Back to the
Uh,
topic at hand.
uh, 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 you know, of how you say it versus what you say. I remember because I was trying to when you were talking to me earlier. I was trying to remember what childhood memory I had surrounding that sort of situation. But for me, it was my Uncle Mickey. I'm just gonna throw out names there because nobody knows him, and he, I believe, has passed away. Um, my Uncle Mickey, he, I remember one time I was small. I think I was Ian's age. I think I was like 6 or 7, and he comes over to visit my grandfather, and I'm you know, being wild, running around, jumping over things, hiding underneath things, going everywhere, you know, being a kid. And I wait for him to come into the living room, and I jump out of wherever I was hiding, and I was like, "Rawr!" And then he looked at me, and he was like, "Oh, what is that? That's not a hello. Men walk up to each other and they shake each other's hands and they say hello. So I don't see you until you come and say hello to me." And it just like it shook me to my core, because even just that, it shook my definition of what being a man meant. It was like the beginning, earthquake, the beginning cracks in the foundation to my idea of masculinity and what it meant to be a man for me. And it was just based off of like the combination of what he said plus how he said it. Even just saying that to me in that time, like it was just, he said it in the same tone that he said everything else, though. It was just kind of like, oh no, that's not being a man. The man comes and shakes my hand, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm about 5 or 6, so I'm not a man yet, but like like, and so I went over and I shook his hand, but I had this weird feeling and relationship towards men from that point forward. you know how I related to what masculinity was, because I felt like our first episode, the masculinity episode, like of how I wasn't what people at like during that time in that social era would deem masculine. I and I didn't know what that meant, and I further didn't know what it meant after that. But yeah, that was like a little side story. It was on my mind because I was trying to figure out what sparked, or what the memory was that you sparked when you were mentioning your story, and about singing.
Us us as males need to also know how to communicate with the opposite sex and vice versa. And I say that because we we kind of mentioned this before, but it's like women a lot of times have, or females have, a lot of expressive language, have very expressive language where men do not. So it's like it takes a lot more for us to decipher through and understand what they're saying. But yet, we have to learn how to take the emotion out of their words sometimes to understand what's being told to us. And that takes a heightened sense of understanding.
I, if I could like miniature piggyback, because
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to jump in because I also feel like if we're taking out the emotion from what they're saying in order for us to understand and process it, at the end of that we also should learn to process in the emotional factor as well, because
Hmm.
um just us as humans, we are in fact emotional creatures, men and
Yeah.
women. But societally, men have been programmed to be less emotional,
Hmm.
and less emotionally guided and focused.
Yeah.
Where we call it our gut feeling, as men call women's gut feeling. Like, oh, that's an emotional hormonal choice or what have you. Um, so yeah, of also factoring that in, because like a theme we promote here on the show is there's something underneath everything. There's a feeling, there's an emotion, there's a reasoning underneath a lot of
Yeah.
things, and it's just peeling back that layer. I'm sorry, continue.
No, no, no. That was good. And it was just complimenting what I was talking about in my eyes. And I say that because sometimes we get so caught up in the emotion of what's being said, we lose sight of what is actually being communicated. And that's where I was going with that.
I thank you for bringing up this topic and having it being something that we have an elongated conversation on, because because yeah, it gave way to kind of some interesting talking points, you know, especially understanding the deeper root of you know what our conversation was about tonight, and that being communication, and that being the basis for how we can get through a lot of hard things as well, you know, together. That's the only way we can do it together.
Yeah.
Um,
And we can do hard things.
we can do hard things. All right, brother, it's about that time.
It's about that time.
Beautiful.
It's closing time.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, any closing questions we want to give out to our Discord? I know we I know I surprised our Discord members today with just I think today or yesterday with a flurry of questions, but you know,
Yesterday.
yesterday, you know, with a flurry of
Oh,
questions. So
wait. Before we go, let's talk about that.
yeah,
Let's talk about not just talk about it, because we're gonna talk about it, as
oh,
I've heard before.
we are gonna talk about it.
I do want to bring up one question. What's your favorite thing about yourself, personality wise and physical?
Ooh,
You answered, and I enjoyed that answer, and I answered. But there's one person whose answer I actually want to bring up. She's an avid listener, and I want to address it on here. And I want her to hear me say this because I know you've had many of extensive conversations with our people in our Discord and out of our Discord. But I want to answer this person. So said person, you said personality. I would say I try to find the good, try to raise people up, make them smile. Not always successful and oftentimes feel worse as a result. But if I can make somebody smile and know I'm the reason, that is usually enough for me. That was so beautiful and profound, and I loved it. And we need more people like you because you're willing to put yourself out there and be vulnerable to brighten somebody else's day and to find something positive. And that is a very beautiful and wonderful thing. So I want you to know that that is so appreciated and necessary. And we love you for it. Well, not just for that, but that is another reason why we love you. And then they said, in looks, I honestly can't say I have an answer right now. I'm going to say this: your smile is so infectious. Look at your pictures and look at your smile. Your smile says a lot. And I don't just say just the smile because of the facial structure. I mean the emotion and the life that is behind said smile. Your smile has gone into your daughter as well, where her smile is just the same. And when you smile, you lift people's spirits, and that is better than any other physical attribute that anybody could talk about, because a smile can change even the saddest person without a single word. Because when you have a genuine smile, that means a lot. Even your picture can change the life of somebody else. So thank you for your smile. Thank you for your great personality. And also thank you for your support. And thank you for your service of doing what you do and protecting our community in your own special way. So you should know exactly who you are. So thank you.
thank you for sharing that, Ove. Um, yeah, you heard you all heard the question. You know what is it? What is your favorite thing about yourself, personality wise and physically? Drop it in our Discord.
Z, you got to drop it on this podcast right now,
Oh,
brother.
my answer.
Yes, come on, man.
Okay. Actually, my favorite thing about myself, personality wise, is my infectious energy. You know, being able to reach out and affect people, you know, in positive ways. You know, it means wonders to the possibility of the future, of being able to put more good energy out there and actually have it be received well. um and then my favorite thing physically are my dancer legs, because even though they weigh like an individual human body as much as one, each, I also feel the power within them, so gives me confidence.
For me, my personality is uh, my ability to connect with people.
Mm. Mm.
That's my favorite part about of my personality is my ability to connect with people. I've over the years I've started to realize that I have a special connection with people in the way I talk, in the way that I'm able to gain the trust of those around me and open up or just feel comfortable enough to talk to me, whether you know me or you don't. And that's something that I would never trade in the world. There's nothing I would ever trade for that in the world. Because at the end of the day, you know you could talk to me. And physically, it's the one muscle that I've had since I was in middle school, which is my triceps. That thing right there.
Look at that shoehorn.
Look at that. Look at
Or the
that. Look at that
horseshoe. Look at
tricep.
that horseshoe. Yeah,
That's
look at
it.
that. Look at
Right,
that
right.
horseshoe.
I don't have much of a bicep, but that
Hold
tricep
on, hold on.
hasn't failed me yet.
Look at that. Look at that.
Look, I'm all backwards.
You showed everybody like, look.
Look, nah, but this tricep, that's what I liked. And I used to literally, if you look at some of my pictures, if I ever wore like a tank top, you'd see me like this, like trying to flex that tricep, trying to
look,
get it.
look this. Look what I got.
My arms look pretty good in a t-shirt because of my tricep. Just kidding.
Yeah. Or
Because it's showing
or
my hairline.
standing like that.
All right,
So
that's funny. That's funny.
all right, my brother. As well as if you want to continue this conversation out here, outside of this podcast, hit us up on our Discord or check us out on Twitter or Instagram at Have a Drink Cast. Make sure to use that hashtag Hadcast.
Hashtag Headcast. I'm saying it here and now. I'm going to try to make a more of a point to be a part of our Discord more. And I would love to communicate with more people. So please, please, please holla at us. Let's get in the conversation. All right. If you guys are commenting on our Instagram or on our Facebook and everything else, that's great. But please jump into our Discord because I would like to be a part of the conversation. And another thing, please like, reshare, subscribe, show us some love. All I got to say is this: it's free to do that. It's free. Share it, reshare it. Get more people. We would love for our message to reach more people and have more people a part of the conversation, right? So, at your favorite bar, your favorite restaurant, your favorite shirt, or your favorite song, you want everybody else to enjoy those things too. Well, if you're enjoying this conversation, let's share it out and let's pick it up and let's get some more people to the bar so we can talk. All right. Appreciate you. And thanks and shouts out to our Patreon out there. We appreciate all that you guys have done for us and continue to do. And we are looking for more people to help support us so we can do more and in turn get more people on here so we can have more great conversations.
Actually, some bonus news with our Patreon subscribers. We will be changing the tiers just a little bit so that they can reflect the ability to receive the Patreon exclusive gifts that are going to be rolling out after your third month of your patronage. Actually, so our first gift that goes out for those spending, I believe, $10 or more. Is going to be a Have a Drink sticker. So this lovely background that you see behind us, every episode, you could get it as a sticker, as well as if there'll be more gifts in between this, but our 35 or $25 or more range. After your third month of patronage, you will be able to receive your very own Have a Drink hoodie, which is by far the most phenomenal thing that I have seen. And that's handled all through Patreon. So if you want, like we said, like Omega just said, sharing, liking, subscribing is free. But if you want and you feel it in your hearts to give more, hop on to our Patreon, and we have all these wonderful gifts, that and more merch coming soon.
Yeah.
Everyone at home, I want to thank y'all for listening. Brother, thank you for joining me on another successful episode of the Have a Drink podcast, and we'll invite you back to sit, think, and have a drink. It's been us. Peace.
Peace.